So this is going to be an update video about the projects I currently have going on and some of the projects I have coming up. Welcome to BodeVision. So like I was saying, projects, let's start off with the obvious. Betty White, the 1988 Honda Accord. This was my daily driver for the longest time. I have a couple videos working on it, a couple videos back on my channel. Go check that out if you wanted to see more of this car. I have a video cleaning out the interior and the engine bay and just some different stuff like that, routine maintenance, fixing this fender. The car was in a pretty bad accident not too long ago and I got that settled in. It still has a little work to do, but Betty White has just kind of been off to the side. I've been throwing back and forth some ideas, but I don't have the money to do what I want to do to it yet until I sell this Mustang. So this is what's burning a hole in my pocket and what's holding me back from doing what I want with Betty White. This is my 1965 Mustang Coupe. Nothing too crazy, straight six. Coupe. If it was the fastback, if it was the convertible, if it was the V8, I would have no problem selling it, but it's kind of the least desirable model because it's the straight six, the Ford 200 motor, and it's also the coupe. But I do have somebody coming to look at it later on today, so hopefully they can extinguish this hole in my pocket. Now moving on from the 1965 Mustang, we got this car over here that was in one of my more recent videos, Project Business in the front, Party in the back. I'm talking about the 1964 Ford Ranchero. So as you saw in my last video, I was rebuilding the motor because the motor, I didn't have any compression in it. We did a compression test and anyways, so like I was saying, with the motor, we found out we did not have good compression. That was in one of my more recent videos. We were talking about how one of the cylinders had 70 PSI, so I completely took apart the motor. Now, I'm not a professional when it comes to pulling apart motors, so in videos that I'm not a professional in, I don't want to focus on filming and getting to the project, and I want to focus on making sure that I'm doing the job as good as possible. So unfortunately, I did not film that much, but I do have this. With this motor, Ford 302 out of a 1987 Mustang, I pulled all of the pistons, I completely cleaned the ring lands, replaced the rings, and replaced the rod bearings. I also honed the cylinder walls, and I also cleaned the valves. Now we're getting 180 PSI straight across the board. It's gonna be just fine for what I'm doing with the car. I'm not looking to do any kind of crazy drag racing. I just want a nice, reliable daily driver. Now the Mustang that I got the motor out of, the 1987 Mustang, that was an automatic, and I decided that I didn't want to have an automatic anymore, and also let me show you what happened. I cracked the bell housing on the automatic transmission, so that gave me the perfect excuse to go ahead and swap it. So I got this transmission over here, Tremec T5 5-speed transmission. This came out of a 2004 V6 Mustang. So we have the 87 Mustang motor, then we have the 2004 Mustang transmission. I just need to make sure that I get the V8 clutch, flywheel, and starter, and then that'll be good to go. That's how you convert it. Everything's gonna be just fine. So 87 Mustang, 04 Mustang. This is from a 70s Mustang front end. It's called a Mustang 2 style front end. And over here, so that's the front, that's the motor, that's the trans. And in the back right there, we have a Ford 8.8, and that came out of a 1988 Ford Explorer. So this car is really just a smorgasbord of a whole bunch of different parts, but hopefully they're gonna all work together and work in unison and make for a nice shop truck. So the game plan with the Ranchero is I have to get everything back together, the motor, the transmission, I gotta get that back in the car, I gotta do full wiring. I got everything for wiring right here, fuse box, everything. This is all labeled. This says left high beam. Every single wire is labeled, so that'll be nice and easy. Then I gotta get my fuel lines ran. I just bled the brakes, so those should be pretty good. Hopefully those are good to go. And then I gotta get everything else good to go. started on some of the wiring, and really I'm just trying to get an idea of where everything goes, if everything's long enough, if I'm gonna have to extend anything. Hopefully I'm just gonna have a little extra and I could just spool it up. Again, this is gonna just kind of be a shop truck. I'm not going for anything too crazy, not going for anything show quality. This car is a little too gone for show quality for my time and effort and energy anyways. So here we go. We got the alternator, we got the starter, we got the fan for the radiator all up here. We have the high beams, low beams, running lights for the left, and high beams, low beams, running lights for the right side. So that's about all that I'm gonna do for today at the shop. As you can hear, it's starting to get pretty nasty outside. So I'll tell you about all the upcoming projects, and trust me, you're gonna be excited to hear about them when I get back to the house. And now, like I said, for the projects up and coming. Now, when it comes to up and coming projects, sometimes I'm hesitant to talk about it because, you know, nothing's really set in stone until it's there. And I don't want to say I'm going to do a project and have it not show up. So that's just a little disclaimer. These are things that I have that are 90% guaranteed. But like I said, no project is guaranteed until it's inside the shop. So these two projects are coming in nearly back to back. The first one is something that you guys are going to like a lot. It's a CB7 1991 or 1992 Honda Accord Coupe, and that has an H22 swap. We're gonna go with the full paint job on that. That's gonna be really nice, super cool car. I consider it a classic Honda. I love CB7, so that's some cool Honda content on the way. And then the next project, or the project that's coming around the same time, is a Mazda Miata. I'm not gonna say too much about it, but if you guys are familiar with YouTubers and what's going on YouTube and who is building a Miata, that's the Miata I'm gonna be painted, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. So if you wanna see those up and coming projects, I apologize that it's been a little slow this last week as far as projects, but I've just been catching up on some personal stuff. So if you want to see those projects, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like this video. You know what it is, YouTube. I'll see you on the next one. I'm out.
Wow.